Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Mark Foote, he, him, and I will be your worship associate for today. And disclaimer, this is my first time doing this, so I really appreciate this community for giving us all opportunities to progress and grow. And about this community, this is a community rooted in love, inclusion, and justice. We're excited to share this space with everyone here today. After the service, we'll have snacks and beverages in the back of the sanctuary, so stick around for a few minutes and make a friend. Now, visitors, we want an opportunity to recognize you. We'd like to extend a special welcome, so if you're willing and able, would you please stand so we can recognize you? Or raise your hands. Thank you for being here. And if you're interested in learning more about our congregation, consider joining us in the Welcome Circle after service. There you can meet with a few members and ask any questions. Really nice people. There's a sign over there that says Welcome Circle, and that's where we gather after you have a chance to grab a refreshment. Okay, and to stay connected, consider using our QR code on the screen or on the back of the VUU brochure to let us know how best to reach you. And again, thank you for being here, and we look forward to getting to know you better. Okay, now, this service is being streamed, so we should all take a second to wave to our participants online, and the camera there. Okay, thank you. Now, pastoral care. Lay pastoral care is a program to provide confidential, caring presence and support to congregants undergoing stressful life challenges. Today and throughout this week, pastoral care will be provided by Melissa Bush, who's here in the sanctuary. Hi, Melissa. And also Pat Poquet online. You can contact the lay pastoral care by emailing pastoralcare@vuu.org. Now, Caring Neighbors. Caring Neighbors works to foster a loving and caring community in which VUU members and friends nurture, support, and assist each other through life's joys and trials. With things like meals, social gatherings, and occasional rides, they can be reached at caringneighbors@vuu.org. And on with the chalice lighting.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Sarah Oglesby Dunnigan, she, they. I'm the settled minister here, and won't you join me in these words of chalice lighting? We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love which calls us to work for justice. We invite you into a moment of worship with us through this poem called Eagle Poem. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circles in blue sky and wind swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this. And breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it will be done in beauty. In beauty.
As the ensemble comes forward, I would like to introduce our opening hymn. This is The Good Old Way. It's a very old hymn from African American roots, but you may have heard this version in the movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So Carlin Knight is our soloist today, and when I turn to you and go like this, please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing the entire song. Thank you.
I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way. And who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down. Let's go down. Don't you want to come down? Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down. Let's go down. Don't you come on down. Oh, brothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way.
Check, check, check. Hello, my name's Will Bliss, they, them, and I'm your Faith Formation Director. If you are a child or a parent with baby, or if you just want to sit in the circle, I heard from an elder that they wanted to sit in the circle, and I actually am open to that. So come sit with me, and we have such a fun book to read. Hi. I have such a big surprise for you. I'm so excited. Yeah. Hello.
You got a haircut.
I did. Kind of. Did I not put the slides? Oh, there we go. So today we're going to read about Norman, a character who has a big surprise for us at the end. And while we read this book, I want you to think about, was there a time in your life when you decided to stand up for yourself, decided to be yourself? You can think about sharing your story if you want to. And when do you think Norman accepted himself for who he was? Tell us about that part of the book later, right? And then share a way the story makes you feel. And there will be a time you can ask questions too. Okay? Hello, friend. Hello. Oops. That's okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Norman had always been normal, perfectly normal, until one day he grew a pair of wings. Norman had imagined growing taller or growing a beard like his dad, but he never imagined growing a pair of wings. Still, they were here now, so he decided to test them out right away. Soon, Norman was swooping around and generally having the most fun ever. But then he had to go in for dinner. You see, Norman had always been so normal, he didn't know how his parents would feel about his extraordinary wings. As he went in, Norman covered himself up in a great big coat. His parents didn't notice the wings, but they did think it was odd that he's wearing a coat indoors. Bath time was problematic. So was bedtime. The coat was hot and uncomfortable, but Norman had decided that no one should see his wings ever. The next day, Norman went to the park, but he was far too hot to play any of his favorite games, and so it went on. Long car journeys were unbearable. The swimming pool was dreadful, and that was nothing compared to his friend's birthday party. The only time that Norman could feel normal now was when it rained. One day, a boy tried to pull his coat off, and Norman had to run away, hot-faced, angry, and sad. He wished he'd never grown these stupid wings. Then he saw some birds high up in the sky and remembered the joy of his first flight. It occurred to Norman that it was the coat that was making him miserable, not the wings. "Why don't you take that tatty old thing off?" suggested his mom and dad. Norman looked up at them hesitantly. His parents smiled and nodded. Norman smiled back. Then he threw off the coat and let his wonderful wings fan out. Norman leaped into the air. Finally, he was free of that coat. He noticed a few other children wearing thick, heavy coats of their own. They looked up at Norman and round at each other nervously. There was a moment's pause, and then, what do you think happened? He vanished. Whoosh! The sky was filled with flying people. Norman had never felt so happy. He realized that there was no such thing as perfectly normal, but he was perfectly Norman, which was just how it should be. The end. Good book, right? So, do you want to answer any of the questions? How did the book make you feel?
It made me feel from blue to happy.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah, so if we can find strength through our differences and learn to share them with a lot of bravery and truth, we can find others just like us or grow and build through our differences. That's what I think this is about. Yeah. So I feel really hot. Can you hold this for me? Yeah. Let's go make some wings. You ready to go to class? We're going to make some wings in class today.
Away.
As I said earlier, I'm Rev. Sarah, she, they, and I'm the settled minister here at Valley Unitarian Universalist. This weekend, the Valley UU Board of Trustees has been meeting on a retreat, yesterday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and today from 12:30 to 2:30. We've been building relationships, setting goals, and planning a process for doing mission and vision work this year. Two of our members, Lisa and Nancy, have been meeting with us online as they are currently out of state, enjoying cooler weather, I understand. But today we honor their work and our shared covenants of service. Lisa and Nancy in particular want you to know as we go through these that they have agreed to these and are sharing them with you while they watch online. At this time, I want to invite both the Board of Trustees and anyone who's been elected to positions, so special funds, folks, if you're here, you're welcome to come up too, and folks who are on leadership development, board members, for sure, I want you to come up. So if you've been elected to some other position, you want to stay in your seat, just know that we are covenanting with you too. Come on up. I don't normally have to say this in UU settings because it's actually really unusual to have so many men in leadership. Not that there's anything wrong with men being in leadership, but it's actually been my experience that most frequently there aren't as many, so it's actually been really lovely to have a little different year. Come on over, guys. And gals and folks who have other pronouns. In this community, to serve is the highest expression of our commitment and love. To be asked to lead is the highest honor. This morning, the members of Valley UU, actually back in June, you chose these folks to lead you in the coming year, and they stand before you. Just a side note, we're going to be having all of these folks with bios and what position they're in on that TV by where Nick is in the back pretty soon. So be looking for that so you can connect the name with the face and the role. The relationship between a congregation and their elected leaders, in this case our board, raise your hands if you're on the board, our special funds team, which manages our endowment, and our leadership development committee. Those folks have all been elected to do those jobs. We feel that this is one of deep respect and mutual regard. You've asked them to take on the holy work of discernment and guidance, and they need you to support them in their work, to share ideas and concerns in love, and to offer them trust as they fulfill their office faithfully. The work of the congregation is the work of the people, and it is the work of building the world of which we dream. And it may require some time spent poring over budget sheets, hours spent in meetings where small details are hashed out. It may manifest in shared laughter, I hope so, or occasionally outright frustration from time to time. But always it is sacred, for it is in pursuit of beloved community. Service is an act of faith, and service done faithfully in love is the work of justice and community building. This is what you've asked of these people before you this morning, that they have served you faithfully and well. To do this, they need your trust and support. And I invite Mark, who is today a worship associate, but just recently was our board president for 3 years. A nice little transition to lead the implementing process.
Now we ask the members of VUU, will you offer love and trust to these leaders? Respond when they seek input. Show up when they tell you work needs to be shared, and listen carefully when they speak of the life of the congregation. If so, please respond, we will. To the leaders, will you be diligent and faithful in your work, bringing your best selves and practicing self-care and open-heartedness, tending with love the details of work, and always keeping the goal of beloved community in front of you as you serve? If so, please respond, we will.
We will.
Again to the leaders, will you work with Reverend Sarah, your minister, as you learn and grow in your understanding of shared ministry, bringing your concerns, ideas, and needs to her in good faith with care and diligence?
We will.
Now, Reverend Sarah, will you work with these leaders to develop trust and engagement in the work of shared ministry, listening to their concerns, ideas, and needs in good faith with care and diligence?
I will. Now, may the spirit of love guide you in the coming year. May a spirit of joy infuse the work you engage, and may your service bless the world. Amen. I'm going to keep the board members here, but thank you to the rest of you for your willingness to serve in the ways you're serving. At our board retreat yesterday, which concludes this afternoon, members of the Board of Trustees have agreed to introduce themselves very briefly and each share one line about what board service means to them. I'm going to invite them to do that, but first we have a video from Lisa, who is not here, and then I have some words I'll read from Nancy, and then each of you will get a chance.
Hello, my name is Lisa. This is my third year on the board, and it's my first year as the Committee on Shared Ministries liaison to the board. For me, serving on the board is all about service to the spiritual community that I belong to. In this time that seems to be so divisive, I'm glad to be part of a group, part of a spiritual community that is trying to bring people together, celebrating diversity and embracing love over hate.
Awesome. Nice. And then Nancy says, my name is Nancy Egley. This is my second time serving on the VUU board since 2005. And I may or may not have one more term after the next year before you folks get a break from me. And serving on the board means keeping VUU together. And now I invite each of you.
Hi, my name is Rick Hinrichs. I am the secretary of the board, newly, I guess, appointed within our committee. I was on the board 30 years ago, from 1994 to 1996, so I'm the old guy on the board. I bring a perspective, though, a historical perspective, and things are a lot different now than they were back in 1994. The board did everything back then, and now we're setting policy, so I wanted to be part of that. I think it's my turn to help understand the setting policy and making sure that our well-oiled machine continues to function. Especially, my background is in the finance side of this congregation, budgets and all that stuff, and so I'm hoping to be able to bring some of that wisdom to the board.
All right, I'm David Shea. I'm in the third year of my second round on the board, currently serving as financial analyst, which is what's left of the treasurer position when staff does all the hard work. What I'm interested in, obviously, are the numbers and preserving democracy and having VUU as a refuge in times that are very troubled. And I approach this as with the ideas behind servant leadership.
Hi, my name is Brian Porter. This is my first year on the VUU board. I'll be in training to become the next financial analyst. David's going to take me under his wing, so that's pretty exciting. What serving on the board means to me is that you have elected me and put your trust in me to do the best job I can for you, and I commit to honoring that trust by giving my full commitment to that effort, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that you've all given me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul Reed. This is my first year on the board, first time on the board, and serving as your vice president. For me, serving on the board is an opportunity to be part of moving our congregation forward in positive and inclusive policies that make VUU a welcoming environment for all.
Hello, I'm Paul Schneider. I'm the president of the board. This is my second time on the board. And what's meaningful to me about being on the board is that we had this retreat yesterday, and I feel like we have a very, very engaged group of folks. Even those that are out of state, it's been an amazing experience. I feel like we are moving forward into what has been going on internally to how do we move forward, and I'm extremely excited about how we're moving into our vision and mission work this week. And it means a lot to me that I can serve this congregation that has served me so well. Thank you.
So I'm also a member of the board. I'm ex officio, which means I don't vote, but that doesn't mean I don't have a voice. I actually sometimes maybe have too loud of a voice. So I'm really excited about this board year, about this congregational year, and I hope that you will take some time to get to know some of these folks and share with them your own vision. We'll have a formal process this year for us to build a new mission and vision. We're 10 years out from when we did that. Last time, Paul was part of that 10 years ago with leadership from Janice Miller, and so now we're just coming back around the bend. So I want to thank all of you who choose to step up in service, and all the ways that you do that. It makes a difference in how we run this community. It is truly shared ministry, so thank you. Now, as we take a moment to center ourselves, I invite you to join me in a prayer of healing and well-being. Specifically today, I want us to bring into the space anyone who has been in the hospital or who's been sick. Yesterday, I heard that Bill Elliott, who's been waiting back surgery, went to the hospital in deep pain and remains there. I'm sure he's watching today and listening, so I asked if it was okay if we spoke his name into this space and invited prayer for him, and he said yes. But today we hold all who are struggling and who seek peace, whether it's a physical struggle for health and well-being, a spiritual or emotional struggle for peace and connection and belonging, a need for healing and renewal, or strength and patience. And whatever ways we are seeking to be held and heard, may each of us find we are loved and needed, no matter what. And Mark is going to offer us a reading.
The beauty of summer nights is how they go on, light lingering so long we can imagine ourselves immortal, for moments at a time. And winter days, their own kind of beauty. Any swath of color, hint of leaf bud sway, of dried brown grass, even litter. A bright yellow bag, light enough for the breeze to lift and carry, to render itself as pleasure, to an eye immersed in gray. May we learn to love what is both ordinary and extra. May our attention be a kind of praise, a worship of all there really is.
We invite you to take a moment if you need to center in your own space. If you like a little ritual, we have candles you can light for a joy or a sorrow, something that's on your heart and mind over on this side of the sanctuary. There's a book where you can leave us a little message for the pastoral care team or note something in the life of you and your family that you want to put there. And we have a water fountain that you can add a drop of water to or a stone to. And whatever way you like to center and connect with what is on your heart and mind, we invite you to do that now.
still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I have kissed honey lips, felt the healing in fingertips, but like fire, this burning desire. I have spoke with tongue of angels, I have held the hand of the devil. It was warm in the night, as cold as a stone. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I believe in kingdom come, then all the colors bleed into one, bleed into one. But yes, I'm still running. You broke the bonds and you loosed the chains, carried the cross of my shame, of my shame. You know I believe it, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
I'm so grateful that that was the song that went right before me, because I feel like it summarizes a little bit of my journey. And as a worship associate, one of the things I look forward to is sharing my perspective. I look at the one light, many windows, that metaphor that we have such a beautiful art piece, and we have the chalice, and we all share the same reality, but we come at it from a different perspective. We all look through our own glass at our own angle. And a truism that really has stuck with me is that every person you meet, every person you talk to knows something you don't. And with that light, I can only speak from my perspective, but I hope you'll find something in there that helps you. I grew up in a very religious home. It was the center of, well, how did it look? It looked like in the morning, we woke up, we had family prayer, groggy at 6 a.m., and we all took turns saying the prayer different days, prayed before meals, Sunday, 3 hours of church, if you guys who know where I'm talking. I grew up Mormon, and it meant that we prayed before classes, before doing trips. Like, you get into the car, you're going to go on a 5-hour trip. We take a second to say a family prayer about how we hope that the driver will pay attention and that other people will do well, and we get to where we're going safely. And in Sunday school classes, it was like, all right, who wants to volunteer for the prayer? And nobody would want it. And then it's, all right, who wants blessings? Because, we're acquiring more blessings by doing more good things, right? And And this continued, and my relationship with prayer was not good in that a lot of times it felt hollow and repetitive. It felt like I was just going through the motions, and honestly, it was very unfulfilling, and it made my relationship with my spirituality feel incomplete. Well, I continued in that because that was the truth that I knew, and it wasn't until I was in my late 30s that I lost my faith. I had a crisis of faith, and I decided that nothing was true, and I went for a decade with that understanding, and in some ways, life was so much better, but I knew that I was missing something. I knew I lost something, and I just didn't know how to reconcile those things. But I still did all those things. I love the lyric in the song about going to a mountain. I've gone on hikes, you get to the top, and you feel that sense of awe, that spiritual connection. I've never been Catholic, but I've gone to Catholic masses, and I hear the music and the presence and the architecture just touches me in a way that I just feel, I'm not sure what it is, but that idea that I'm still haven't found what I'm looking for. I know there's something there. And same with just beauty being in nature and sunsets. They get me all emotional. So 10 years later, I'm with my partner, Michaela, and she says it's time to go back to find a community, and she drags me to VUU. And I have absolutely no faith that this is a place that's going to fit, because I don't agree with anything. Apparently, that's a criteria to be here is... So my first Sunday was right at the beginning of the pandemic. So Reverend Andy, it was the last couple days he was here. And he said the word prayer and engaged in prayer, and I felt immediately very uncomfortable because I have my religious baggage, and I was like, well, what do you really mean by that? Where are you going with that? Who are we praying to? And what is this all about? And I don't know if I want to sign in on this thing. And I've since gotten more familiar with I plowed through, obviously, and I'm still here. But since then, I've read some writings of UU ministers, and they have an interesting way of speaking. They say things, but you can't really pin them down to exactly what they're saying. They talk about divine, but like, what exactly is that thing you're talking about? I think I bet you they teach it in ministry school or something. But yeah, the attending VUU was when I found that one light, many windows, and I realized that we all are sharing in this experience of life, and we all have our perspective and our baggage. Part of my baggage is why I'm here, because I learned the value of a community. Even though I left one community, I knew that there was value in being in spiritual relation with everyone else. And I've benefited by being reminded, showing up on Sunday services to be around the rituals and participate in some and feel the music and reconnect with my spiritual side. And also, I met great friends here and people who weren't crazy. They believed things that I didn't believe, but then, talking to them, they actually had a point. This is not my story about how I became Christian again. But what it meant was that I realized that there was value in things that I didn't understand, and maybe I needed to expand my definition of what exactly prayer meant. I've realized that there is value in prayer, and it's not just connecting to someone that's not me. Prayers, for me, a prayer is an opportunity to quiet my mind and have some grounding, to appreciate the moment I'm in and feel it and observe. It's meditation for me. That's one part of it. It gives me an opportunity to reflect and remember. I'm realizing the wisdom in saying a prayer before every car trip, in that you take a second, sit in the driveway, and think, what do I need to know? Did I forget anything? Because it's way more convenient to get it now than later. And also, as a driver, we're engaging in the most dangerous thing we're going to do in any given day is drive on the roads. So it's better that we have our wits about us and that we really appreciate and just and collect ourselves. And feeling gratitude. There's all sorts of studies that you're healthier and better off if you feel gratitude. In my own anecdotal experience, reflecting on how lucky you are, what you have, it makes me happier. It makes me a better person, and it gives me perspective. And then it's also an opportunity for me to reflect on the best version of myself. Considering my values, what do I really want in this situation when I'm struggling with something? What would the best version of myself want or do? And then most importantly, at the end, I set an intention. I think about how I want to proceed, how I want to approach the day, how I want to approach this drive or anything like that. Setting an intention has been really valuable to me. And this doesn't apply just as an individual. I find that, I continue to see my extended family, and they still pray. And so they have this lottery system, which means that if you're in the group, you might be randomly picked to say the prayer. And at first I was resistant to that, like, I'm not going to pray the way you want me to. But then I realized that I can fit their format and make it my own prayer, and it might be a little bit different, but it's fine. So I even made myself a handy-dandy prayer guide, and I keep it in my wallet. Here we go. And it just helps me collect my thoughts in the moment, just to give me a structure. So I'm just going to, you obviously can't read it, but here goes. A basic prayer guide, i.e. a guided meditation. So number one, grounding, as in we gather at this table, we, just recognize where you are in the moment and all that. Just to take a second to appreciate where you are and what you're doing. And maybe even the reason why you're gathering. Maybe it's somebody's birthday. Maybe it's a holiday to commemorate a special thing. And then gratitude. Find some reason to be grateful, because there always, in every moment, is a reason to be grateful for where you are and why you're here. The fact that you're here at all is an opportunity. The present is a gift. And then, and I then set an intention. How do we want to proceed in that moment? How, may we all go out and pray more, something like that. And then this is a bit from a poem that. I can't remember the author, but it just really touched me, and it was a great way to close. This we pray, to be more aware and thus more alive. Amen. And with that, I'm grateful to be in front of you all and share my experiences, and thank you for that opportunity.
Ironically, Mark and I could not have grown up more differently. I grew up completely unchurched. We didn't pray really any time except occasionally at group family dinners. And in my first marriage, my father-in-law was a minister, and he did that thing of randomly asking people to pray at lunch. And I always did a terrible job, so they quit asking me. That was one way to approach that. So the irony that I am the one who became a minister is definitely present in the room with us. 12 years ago, when I was beginning ministry, one of the first sermons I gave to the congregation I first served was an answer to the question, do you use pray? And people ask me this all the time, so it felt like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And over a dozen years in ministry, I have lived into this answer, which is basically yes. There's the whole sermon. Just kidding. Many individual UUs pray, and many congregations have prayer practices. Now, whether someone on the outside would understand these practices to be prayer or not is not the question we're answering today. Because for us, prayer can be as simple as a smile, a song, a gesture of love. And I think I speak for all of us that we've experienced prayers, many different kinds already this morning in this space. One of the first people I learned about prayer from was my professor at ILIF, where ministers get trained to say those things about, what's holy or whatever, what is divine, what is faith. Reverend Jane Vernard, and she wrote in her book that a praying congregation is one where everyone must be free to share their deepest hopes and fears, and to reveal what is most important to them. And I learned from her that prayer is an act of humility and vulnerability, and an orientation of openness to help, to awe, to transformation, and to deeply felt experiences. So I invite us to consider whether individual spiritual practices like prayer or communal practices that we do together can create a transformative experience for us. And can we let go of those old ideas like the ones that Mark described about prayer and embrace new practices that liberate our spirits and open our hearts and invite us potentially to live differently together? And I also wonder, what is our vision for ourselves and our world that would benefit from these practices? So, fundamentally, I'm inviting you to ask with me, what does it mean to pray? So I'm going to ask all of you. You can be kind of low key and raise your hand kind of like this, or you can be raise your hand like this, or whatever. You can throw out an amen or a nope. Do you use pray? Okay, I hear some amens. It's okay if you were a silent nope. It's okay. Do you pray? You personally? Yeah, seeing a lot of yeses. How many of you grew up in a tradition other than Unitarianism, like Mark, maybe not Mormonism, but something, and learned the prayers of that tradition? Yeah, majority of the room. Are these practices still meaningful to you? Oh, some of you, yes. Some of you, no. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe you grew up in a family that prayed over dinner, as Mark described, or before bed, or only at church, following the example of others around you, using words that potentially you did not choose or weren't asked to examine or think about. Now, some of you grew up UU. That's okay. How many people in here grew up UU? Now we have some of you. And did you answer that yes, UUs pray? It's a range, right? I see you. All of that range of diversity. Who or what was God to you then? Was God a powerful someone that was going to fix things and make things right? Maybe you grew up with this version of Judeo-Christian God, and at some point you may have been disappointed to find that it was more complex than that. Maybe God was more complex than that. And while research on prayer seems to point to a certain kind of power in prayer, It doesn't seem to offer direct cures so much as a kind of healing salve. It seems that our presence affects how we experience reality, but it doesn't actually change reality per se. We are changed by prayer. And I wonder, what is a miracle in this context, right? Is it our own transformation of perspective and experience, maybe an ability to see and experience something differently, an insight that moves us? Or does something outside of us also change? Internal or external miracles. Maybe a miracle is found in that our own transformations can impact other people in unexpected and life-giving ways. Reverend Vennard also says that praying congregations offer their members the freedom to explore prayer in whatever way feels right to them, and then provides them a safe place to share their explorations. You might not have grown up in that congregation, but I want this to be a place where you feel invited into that kind of freedom, to trust your own body and spirit to tell you what feels like a prayer, what sounds like a prayer, and what doesn't. And also to decide what a miracle is in this context and when a prayer is answered. One of the most challenging and formational experiences on my journey to becoming a UU minister was when I served as a chaplain for 5 months in the St. Francis Hospital in the Denver area. One of the roles of the chaplain is to walk with people while they're in the hospital or supporting someone who is in the hospital. Some folks want you to pray with them and some not so much. But I was very worried about the praying part. I didn't know if I could pray the way each person would need me to pray with them, or if I could use their language and still be authentic. I didn't actually know what language and style of prayer some people would expect from me. And each day, a chaplain would offer a prayer for the hospital over the intercom for the whole hospital to hear. And we each got to choose from a large book, and we also got to add to it, using all different kinds of language and metaphor. I was so afraid that I would get it wrong, and also so afraid that getting it right would be outside of my own theological range. And I think every Unitarian Universalist chaplain has this inherent fear, because in our congregational settings, the word God and Jesus aren't used frequently. And as chaplains, we're afraid we will have to use them all the time. And here's what I learned. People who want you to pray using specific language will usually tell you. One of my first patients, when I asked what language she used in prayer, she said, "I pray to Christ the healer." Great. And my coworker modeled a prayer using that language. Others, when asked, would tell me a psalm that they liked or that what they wanted me to pray about. Many told me, "I don't really pray," or "I'm not religious." And I always felt really relieved by those answers, because I could say, "I'm the right chaplain for you." And I would proceed to ask them about how they were doing and what they needed. Chaplains are usually the only people in the hospital who have time to talk, time to listen, and walk with folks through their hospital stay. And I highly encourage you, if you're stuck in the hospital, to reach out to a chaplain, because everyone else has a long list of things they're working on, but chaplains, they're supposed to walk with you. And I was able to care for people on their terms most of the time, and to get someone else when I knew I was unable to perform the necessary ritual. Mostly people wanted to just share their stories and be listened to. Sometimes just taking the time to stroke someone's hair or hold their hand was enough. And while I became more accustomed to the many languages of the holy, which I learned kind of on the fly, but also in school, I found that people were more interested in the fact that I was there, taking time to be with them in crisis, than whether or not I prayed the way that they did. And when I asked someone what they wanted me to pray for, most were not even praying for cures or specific healing. They were praying for strength and presence, for love and connection. They were looking for the inner resources for themselves and for their families to survive the current crisis and find their way again. So I learned this about prayer, that there are no special words for everyone, But if they were special to you, then use them. There are no special gestures that work for everyone, but if they have meaning for you, use them. I told you that a smile can be a prayer. And you know the difference in a smile that is a prayer and a smile that is a mask, right? You can feel it. That's how we know a prayer is a prayer. We can feel it. So some of the moments that I've experienced recently that are prayer, one was signing on to a lawsuit against the state of Arizona. That might not sound like a prayer to you, but it was a public prayer for folks to see trans kids as just kids who need the same things all kids need. Touching the bark of trees I encounter that draw my attention. Ask Soul, I do this all the time. It might be embarrassing, but trees are so important. Photos that I take of the desert landscape when I'm hiking, just to remember where I was. Taking a deep breath when I look at the sky. Sharing a poem that touches me deeply with all of you. Internal prayers for the well-being of my kids, or the well-being of my family and friends, or listening to someone on a pastoral care visit. Here's a prayer I hope you've got to do recently. Stepping out into the rain and looking up at the sky with gratitude. A smile or a hug exchange with someone whose spirit met mine in a wordless exchange. What we believe about prayer can be an opening or a roadblock for us in practicing prayer. I'm sure many of you can imagine places and times when you were prayerful in the sense that you were being present and connected to something greater than yourself. Now, I didn't grow up in any church with any affiliation, and I didn't grow up with a language for the holy. But regardless, I definitely call these activities of presence prayer. I did learn about prayer in this more expansive sense from Unitarian Universalists. When I was in my 20s, I began attending a women's spirituality group at a UU church. And there I learned how to create and use ritual, be in a wisdom circle, and share with other women my spiritual responses to the world. We use chant and prayer and ritual in ways I had never imagined before, and we use them to work through deeply personal issues. We designed rituals, we celebrated the seasons, personal changes, made mother crone, house blessings, and although initially I was the youngest member, I was a maid with many crones, I took leadership in that group and eventually celebrated moving into marriage and motherhood with that group. And through that group, I also became a regular member of a UU congregation and began attending Sunday services regularly. So through these new belongings and commitments, my sense of prayer, both personal and group prayer, has encompassed labyrinth walks, which we have out there, sermons and quiet spoken words, songs, meditations, service projects, hikes, protests, and much more. With my children, my sense of prayer began with quiet moments of breastfeeding and moved with a ritual of songs that I sang to them, prayers that we've said together for those in our lives to be well, and guided meditations or stories that I made up to gently remind them of who we are and who we might be in this world. And by the way, Spirit of Life, which we'll sing at the end of this service, was one of several songs both of my kids heard almost every night at bedtime for many years. Brian McLaren writes that when we put together things like institutional participation, like showing up here today, and the knowledge that we gain through sharing reflections and sermons and reading things together, learning together, spiritual experiences where we undertake our own practices and work together, we grow both individually and as a community. And we need all of this range, right? Being here together as a community is a group prayer because it shows a level of trust and commitment to just show up together. As part of this growth, we need to include a variety of practices, and UU theologian and writer Reverend Tandeka calls these practices learning to love beyond belief. Learning to love beyond belief. And she invites us to be in community together first, to ground together before we go out and undertake the work of the world. And I hope that's what we do most of the time when we're here together. This involves developing something that Kathleen O'Connor, she's also a UU theologian, She calls this the hermeneutic of hunger rather than a hermeneutic of suspicion. She says we have to allow ourselves to hunger for spirit, for community, and for change. So prayer, is it a form of spiritual practice, or a spiritual practice is a form of prayer? I don't think we need to decide that. To me, it's important, the most important element for anything to be a prayer is the kind of presence and intention that we bring to it. Is it something you do alone when nobody's looking? Or is it something we do together? I think all of you would be part of my argument that sometimes we do this together and sometimes we do it alone. And we need both. And maybe this is what makes a place like VUU more than a Rotary Club or a nonprofit organization, right? And because it turns out presence is pretty powerful stuff, and prayer creates presence. Now, any of you like quantum physics? Okay. I see you, my UUs. Some folks talk about quantum theology, and they've connected some of those ideas to the recent research on the power of prayer. So for me, this is like a little bridge between the humanists and the theists to kind of meet up. For the diehard scientists out there, consider the idea from New Physics that our thoughts and feelings are not just in us, but interconnected with the flow of energy around us. And they can be toxic and painful, or renewing and life-affirming, and they have wide-ranging impacts. And Margaret Wheatley also did some work on chaos and organizations, and she says that when we encounter periods of chaos, the way that we recover comes from the values that we choose to organize by. Last week we talked about our UU values. How we use those to come back together is really important. And she says that if we choose collaboration, being together in healthy relationships, we might also experience renewal and life-affirming change. That's a kind of group prayer. All of these threads tell us that there seems to be a level of connectedness, a kind of mystical dance that we are participating in that connects all of our energy to all of the energies around us, for better or worse, depending on what we bring to the dance. So I invite you all to think of this mystical dance as a form of prayer that each of us can engage. Simply put, the energy we create has an effect on everything else. So it's wise to think about the realities that we create with our thoughts and emotions and actions, and begin to pay attention to who we are being. Are we present? Are we prayerful? Are we playful? What intentions are we acting from? And maybe, like me, you felt unsure about what praying for something is. And I just try to remember there's a difference between experiencing healing and experiencing cures. Prayer seems to create an opening for transcendent experiences that allow healing and transformation, even when the basic details remain the same. So whether you call it intention or prayer or presence or being prayerful, the impact you can bring to the co-creation of a better world is real. So do you pray? Is this a praying congregation? I offer this closing poem, which illustrates my sense of what is possible for each of us and those with whom and for whom we pray. I met Mary yesterday. She asked me how I would accommodate this growth, how I would make a new space to honor this new place inside of me. She told me to write a poem like a chapel, inviting my own sense and my own self to come be healed. She told me there would be miracles in this new place of worship, that I would be the vessel of holy water, of the blood of renewal, and a feast to end a famine. Maybe someday there will be a whole cathedral nestled inside of me, and I will be visited by the thousands, souls and spirits and thoughts and prayers uniting in one great mass, a service for the many in one tiny place, held by my breath and my faith and my open heart. She gave me plans and named me architect and administrator. She patted me on the back and said, May it be so. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.
I invite the ushers to pass the plate and invite us all to reflect on our opportunity to be generous. For visitors, it's a gift that you're here at all, but thank you. And for every member who sustains this congregation, thank you. It's expensive to pay for the air conditioning in Arizona and keep this building so nice and clean. And we're also so grateful for our music program, our faith formation program, and a well-organized organization generally. So thank you all.
So just like Mark said that this is his first time as worship associate, this is my first time being up here playing music. And I used to play guitar and sing all the time in front of people when I was a child. But it's literally been like 25 years since I've done it. So Grace, please, thank you. So this song encourages us to stay hopeful amidst difficulties, which fits really nicely into our monthly theme of spiritual centering. It acknowledges that while trouble and strife are a natural part of our lives, that we can still look up and hold on to the beauty that is present around us. Sometimes your life feels like a broken roller coaster, 1,000 useless moving parts. Sometimes you spend your nights too scared of getting closer, hiding out in the backseat of your car. You tell yourself it's raining, the clouds are in your head. You tell yourself it's better to jump before you fall again, before you lose it all again. Look up, do you see the sunlight? Look up, there's flowers in your hair. Hold on, 'cause somebody loves you. You know trouble's always gonna be there. Don't let it bring you to your knees. Look up. Mondays aren't always bright. Some days you lose the fight. Life can be beautiful if you let it be. Tomorrow keeps taunting you with all kinds of mystery. It's a blank page for your poetry if you let it be. So don't tell yourself it's raining. The clouds are in your head. You tell yourself it's better to jump before you fall again, before you lose it all again. Look up, do you see the sunlight? Look up, there's flowers in your hair. Hold on, 'cause somebody loves you. You know trouble's always gonna be there. Don't let it bring you to your knees. Look up. Look up. your life feels like a broken roller coaster, 1,000 useless moving parts. Look up till you see the sunrise. Look up, there's flowers in your hair. Hold on, 'cause somebody loves you. You know trouble's always gonna be there. Don't let it bring you to your knees. Look up. Trouble's always gonna be there. Look up. Don't let it bring you to your knees.
Hope has holes in its pockets. It leaves little crumb trails so that we, when anxious, can follow it. Hope's secret? It doesn't know the destination. It knows only that all roads begin with one foot in front of the other.
I invite everyone to rise in body or spirit as you're able for our closing song. Whoa, yeah, yeah. But this isn't our last song, so there'll be another one.
Let's take a moment to look around the room, see all the beautiful faces, plan somebody you're going to share a prayerful smile with, maybe a little conversation later. Join me as we extinguish the chalice together with these words. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other and this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again. Blessed be. Join us for the circle at the end. I think we have one closing little song prayer.
Spirit of life. Spirit